What's going on, YouTube? So the QX60 was by far the best-selling Infiniti last year, and it's easy to see why.
And for 2025, they are not resting on their laurels, because this QX60 is adding key changes such as an all-new engine and a new black package, which we're in today.
So let's go ahead and jump right in, see all that's new for 2025 and how it stacks up to competitors such as the Acura MDX. Alright, so like always, let's start off here under the hood for our spec dump. Now, like Mason was saying at the introduction, we do actually have a new engine under the hood for 2025. This is the variable compression 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, replacing the previous V6. It makes 268 horsepower and 286 pound-feet of torque, which is actually less horsepower than last year, but more torque. Now, it's going to be paired to a 9-speed automatic transmission, and with all-wheel drive, you're looking at 24 miles per gallon combined.
Now, there's a lot to dissect with that new engine, and of course, we'll be taking it out on a spin later on in this video. While we're on that spin, we'll be getting things like our signature sound level reading, as well as discussing potential resale and reliability after that.
But let's go ahead and close up the hood because we've got some things to talk about with the exterior as well as the interior. So right off the bat, you'll probably notice this doesn't look exactly the same as the QX60 you're used to seeing, and that's because this is the new Black Edition model. Again, brand new for 2025. This can be added to the Luxe trim level, and this is going to give you several different blacked out elements all throughout the exterior, starting with the grille. So of course, you'll notice that typical chrome finish is going to be replaced completely with a gloss black look. Also inside of this package is illuminated logos here, but you can get that on other trim levels as well if you prefer. Down at the bottom fascia, there is also going to be some more gloss black elements. Now, coming to our headlights, LED headlights are of course going to be standard equipment on all models. Your upper trims will also have adaptive LEDs. This is a projector low beam and then reflector high beams. You also got your daytime running light and turn signal indicator across the top. No fog lamps though on any of the models. Now, moving around to the rear, just like with the front, you're going to notice some new black elements in the rear.
Yeah, so what are those elements? Well, your Infiniti badging through here is blacked out. You also have this black piece in between your taillights, and Drew's going to hop inside to see if all of the taillight elements are LED this year. So we have an LED brake light, or LED turn signal, with the amber finish, and you also have an LED reverse light. So I'm happy to say all of the elements are LED. Now, as we drop down to this lower fascia, there's a couple things to talk about. There's 3 different finishes. So you have a gloss black finish down here, body color, and then a matte black. I kind of wish it was just all gloss black for a more cohesive design. As far as your tow rating, if you're concerned about that with the new engine, it does remain the same at 6,000 pounds.
Now, moving on to our wheels, this is another place where you will notice some Black Edition changes. We, of course, have the full gloss black finish on these alloy wheels. These are 20-inch alloys, which is what's standard on the Luxe, as well as the vast majority of the trim levels in the lineup. And I think they look really, really nice, especially when paired with our pearly white paint. Now, you do retain kind of some matte black finish around our wheel arches and lower elements. You've got a gloss black finish up here on our mirrors. And speaking of, these are almost fully loaded on every single QX60, so you have blind spot monitoring, heating, and power folding as standard equipment. Auto dimming on the driver's side comes on the Luxe trim and above.
Now, at the side of the QX60, you're going to see that signature shape. It comes in at an overall length of 198.2 inches long. And as far as some design elements, you will notice that even though we have the black package, we do not have a blacked out roof. That is available on the QX60, but you have to choose the top end autograph to get that. I kind of wish they would have put that on this model. Now, as far as your safety systems are concerned, you are going to get 2 out of 4 active safety features as standard equipment. Additionally, if you choose the Luxe trim and above, that will give you all of the safety features that you're looking for. But guys, let's go ahead and check out the interior of this QX60. But first, if you're new here, we're brothers, and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We may be young, but we love cars.
And we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family. Let's learn a lot, have some fun with all the latest cars.
Now at the beginning, Mason mentioned some key changes to this QX60, and literally it does actually have a new key. So this is the latest Infiniti key fob. It first debuted on their flagship QX80, and now here it is on the QX60. You do of course have a standard smart entry system. Most of your trims will also come with remote start, and in addition it gains a new feature for 2025. It's the automatic walk-away locking and unlocking. So as we approach the vehicle, you can see that it just went ahead and unlocked as I got close to it, so I don't even have to reach behind the handle to unlock. All right, now let's go ahead and check out the interior. In terms of the overall design, not any gigantic changes for 2025, but let's go ahead and start by talking about what we have with our seats. So you do have standard leather seats on this model. You got a variety of different colors. Here with the black edition, as you'd expect, this is the black seat. A nice feel to this as well. You have color contrast stitching, perforation throughout. It's very comfortable to set in. And if you want the top-end semi-aniline leather, you have to choose the Autograph model. Now we do have 12 ways of power adjustment, including 4-way lumbar support, also standard. You get more stuff like massaging if you choose the Autograph once again, and then you've got memory seats located right there on the door trim. But let's go ahead and climb fully inside and get into the specific details. And now that we're fully inside the cabin, let's go ahead and look at the rest of the cabin materials. Again, this black edition is built off of the mid-level Luxe, so you are going to have the leatherette through here as well as through the center section, and more even across the upper part. As we move to the upper dash, this is a soft touch plastic through this section. We have a textured aluminum trim that runs through here, as well as our door trim, and then leatherette that goes all through here, all down through the console. Again, nicely stitched, really nice and solid feel as well. You just don't have any of like the quilting details that you get with the Autograph, the fully loaded model. Now the push button start is located here. We'll go ahead and fire it up. All right, let's go ahead and get into the specific details. As always, let's begin with our gauge cluster. So you have a 12.3-inch digital gauge cluster on most models. I am noticing for 2025, they have refreshed the graphics on board, so we have kind of a more Infiniti exclusive design with those gauges. And you can continue to change the meter view if you prefer something that gives you more of a focus on the things in your multifunction display. Now, a head-up display is, of course, available. That's going to be standard on the Autograph, available on your lower two trims. We don't have that. And coming back to our steering wheel, you've got rain-sensing wipers, leather wrapping, of course, and flat-bottom design. You get an elevated material choice if you get the Autograph model, but most of the trims are still going to have power adjustment on all but your base, and heating is standard on every trim. Next up, let's go ahead and check the interior storage. So we'll open up our center console, and you'll notice it's loaded down with donuts. That's because here at Car Confections, we like to check the volume of the center consoles with stuffed donuts because that is our logo. In this case, you're going to be fitting 11 donuts inside of here, so that is pretty darn good. Up in front of that, we've got 2 cup holders. Here is a wireless phone charging pad that's standard on all models, and then we've got another really nice storage area. So you've got this full-size pass-through with a ton of space. This is a really, really large center pass-through. Now that's made available by the fact that we have a standard electronic style shifter. Pull back for drive. You can bump back again to go into manual mode and shift with these paddle shifters on the steering wheel. Pressing up to go into reverse, you'll see the 360-degree camera system pull up. This is included as standard equipment on all but the base trim level. And as you can see, nice overhead view. You do have active trajectory, and you can switch between a few other views as well. Then just press the P right there on top to go into park. You, of course, have an electronic parking brake with brake hold. And then in this same area, you'll find the control knob that can control the infotainment system, although it is still a touchscreen. And let's go ahead and take a look at this panel right here. So this is used primarily for our climate controls. This is a standard 3-zone automatic setup. You adjust your temperature very easily with this nice metal button right here. And your other controls, these are going to be touch sensitive, but they have haptic feedback, so they vibrate when you press them. It's pretty easy to see them as well. Next to that, you have 3-stage heated seats. That's standard on every single model, and ventilated seats are standard on all but the base trim level. And speaking of, new for 2025, all but the base trim level get the up-level Bose Performance sound system. So let's go ahead and give that a sample here in the Luxe. Yeah, so overall sound quality of the system is quite nice. It's certainly a big upgrade over the standard system. This one has 17 speakers, and it does also have some metal speaker grills as well. Okay, so now we'll take our attention to the main infotainment display. So this continues to be the same 12.3-inch display for 2025. This is not the latest and greatest software quite from the QX80 flagship SUV. So you'll notice a few differences in terms of that overall look, as well as the functionality. So importantly, Android Auto and Apple CarPlay are both on board, but only Apple CarPlay will run wirelessly, not Android Auto. As far as the system itself, it will have built-in navigation as well, and this default split-screen view. Up top here, all models will have an auto-dimming mirror. We've got a frameless design and HomeLink universal remotes. And all models will also come with a standard panoramic sunroof. As you can see, this is a quite large piece of glass, and the front panel does open up.
And let's go ahead and dive into the rear seat area of this QX60. Now, this is a family luxury SUV, so this needs to be a nice place to spend time, and indeed, it will be. We're going to be sitting at about 37.7 inches of legroom, about 37.5 inches of headroom. Those are definitely good space figures overall, although it is going to be a little bit smaller than some of the rivals that you can get. Now, if you're looking for a reference point, this seat is adjusted to Drew, who is 5'8", I'm 5'9", and we are sitting at a very solid 9 inches of additional knee room, so I think their space figure might be slightly off because there's a lot of room. Also, this seat will slide forward and back a good distance, and also it reclines a really good distance. Now, speaking of the seats themselves, you will notice that we have a bench seating configuration. You can get captain's chairs in the second row of the QX60. You have to choose the autograph trim level, though, and that will also add a center console setup, so kind of more of an executive-style seating package. Now, as far as features are concerned, here in the center, you will notice that we have a 3-zone climate system. We also are going to have this feature. You notice this, we have heated rear seats. Now, this is not new to the QX60, but it is new to the Luxe trim level this year. So that's a feature that they brought down from the higher-end versions onto the Luxe for 2025. Down below that, we have a USB-C and a USB-A port. Now, let's go ahead and turn to the door trim. The door trim, you will find a couple more features, including rear window sunshades, so I'm happy that they are including that. Leather from top to bottom, it's a nicely finished door trim. And then as far as the bottle storage, that is quite large. And let's go ahead and check out the third row in this QX60. Like I said, this is for hauling your family around. In order to get back here, it's quite easy. All you have to do is push that button. That's actually going to tilt the seat and slide it up out of the way. You wouldn't have to remove a child seat because of that tilting mechanism, so that's certainly quite nice. And then as we head into the third row itself, let's talk about space figures first and foremost. 28 inches of legroom. We're going to find about 36 inches of headroom. As far as how that compares to the competition, very similar to Acura MDX in terms of legroom and headroom figures. The best in the segment, though, would be something like a Lexus TX. Certainly not as spacious as that model, if that's what you're cross-shopping with. As far as overall comfort, though, I will say it's not awful. The thigh support leaves a little bit to be desired, but it's not as bad as some others in the segment. Here in the center, I do want to point out, this is not a seat. You actually just have like this little storage thing here. So you only have 2 rear seats in the third row. And then as far as features are concerned, 2 cup holders, and we are going to have vents out of the ceiling, which is something that the MDX does not include, so that might be a big deal for some of you guys. As far as how it ranks on the third row rating scale, I'm going to go ahead and just say that this is fit for the in-laws. Now walking up to the tailgate, we do have a power tailgate as standard equipment. You can also get a foot-activated tailgate if you prefer. And as far as the cargo figures back here, we are going to be sitting at pretty decent numbers. As a matter of fact, it's going to be sitting at 14.5 cubic feet behind the third row, 42 behind the second row, and if we fold all the seats down, about 75 cubic feet. Now, as far as how that compares to the competition, very similar to something like an Acura MDX. Once again, less than Lexus TX. As far as the third row itself, pretty easy to fold down. You just fold those headrests and then push these forward. Nice and simple. Now, as far as the second row, I do have to go up there and fold it manually. So let me go ahead and do that. And now that I've gotten all of the seats folded down, you can see that it's completely flat with the floor, so I do really like that. And then as far as overall cargo length, that's something we do in all of our reviews is get the cargo dimensions. 82 inches long. It's pretty good. As far as behind the second row, about 45 inches. Behind the third row, you're going to find about 18 inches. As far as the cargo width, 45 inches wide. And cargo height comes in at 29 inches tall. As far as the space, you do have a little bit more room underneath of the cargo floor, so I do like that. As far as your spare tire, there is one integrated underneath of the bumper here. Well, guys, here we are behind the wheel of the 2025 Infiniti QX60. In this test drive, there's, of course, a lot to talk about, as including what you see on the screen right now. We'll also be doing our sound level reading, but first we need to show you what this engine is like under a hard acceleration.
All right, and that was 60 miles per hour with the 2025 QX60. Now, of course, you know, we talked about at the spec dump, and you've probably been waiting to find out what this new engine is like. So this is a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. This is a variable compression 4-cylinder as well. So that's kind of a Nissan Infiniti technology where they can change the compression ratio on the fly. And that's supposed to help power output and fuel efficiency. Now, speaking of power output, this is making 268 horsepower, 286 pound-feet of torque. So in terms of how those numbers compare to the V6 you had before, that's going to be down 27 horsepower over that previous V6, but up 17 pound-feet of torque. So you do have, you know, less horsepower, more torque. Overall, I think the acceleration feels very similar to what it was before. What do you think, Mason?
Yeah, I would have to say I completely agree with that. Overall performance, I say, feels very similar to the V6 before. The thing that I don't think feels the same as the V6 before is the noise, of course. That's going to have a different noise to it than the previous V6. It seems a little bit more unrefined than before, so I am a little disappointed about this switch. But like Drew said, there are some unique benefits, including the more torque, and we'll talk about the fuel economy in just a second.
That was our auto start stop system. Works pretty smoothly overall. It does stay off like the entire duration of the red light, so I like that. I hate when the cars like just turn off for like 5 seconds and then turn back on. There's no point to that. So they tune this, I think, the correct way. Now, as I punch it there a little bit, let's talk about the other aspect of the powertrain. That is the 9-speed automatic transmission. This, of course, was a kind of a new thing that they added with this new generation a few years ago. Thankfully, they have kept that here with the new engine as well. And I think it's a good mate to this engine. It feels like it's probably retuned a little bit just to match the characteristics of the engine being more torque-rich, and overall shifting feels nice and smooth.
I also want to point out that you have front-wheel drive as standard equipment on all trim levels, besides for the Autograph where all-wheel drive is standard. Of course, you can option all-wheel drive to the other models. And let's go ahead and hit that fuel economy figure, since I'm sure you're curious about it. So previously, the front-wheel drive was rated at 23 combined. That now goes up to 24 combined. The all-wheel drive was previously rated at 22 combined, and now that has gone up to 24 as well. So we are seeing some decently significant fuel economy benefits for choosing this 4-cylinder engine over the V6. So 2 mpg is nothing to, not think about, especially if you drive thousands of miles. As far as the fuel economy compared to the competition, that is a pretty decent figure, actually. It's not bad whatsoever.
Yeah, so maybe that variable compression technology, is indeed helping out with the efficiency, since it's supposed to, should be able to change that on the fly when you need more power, giving you more power when you are light loads, making it more efficient.
And let's go ahead and discuss ride quality for this luxury 3-row. Of course, that's very important, and I have to say for 2025, it's going to continue with that same good Infiniti QX60 ride quality. I really have no issues in this department. It does a good job of soaking up the bumps when you hit them. Very much competitive with what you're going to get on like MDX. Maybe a little bit worse than TX. The TX is just incredibly comfortable, so I think that that's kind of like the class leader in that regard. But I will say, overall, very comfortable ride quality, and the seats I do find to be really comfortable as well.
Yeah, Nissan and Infiniti, they always nail the seats. These are very, very comfortable.
Alright, and we're speeding up to 55 miles per hour so we can get our sound level reading. So I went ahead and have it on fan speed 1, and the rear climate has been turned off. So let's get our sound level reading. 54.2 decibels is what we are sitting at as our official sound level reading in the 25 QX60. Now, you don't have to sit here and guess how that compares to the competition, because we can actually find that at carconfections.com/sound level readings and see how it compares. And that indeed is going to place it kind of in the middle of the segment when it comes to quietness. It is going to be quieter than stuff like the Lexus GX, so that's something worth noting, but it's going to be louder than a lot of the main rivals such as MDX, as well as the Lexus TX model, which now is the #1 spot in this segment.
And let's point out that we do have crossbars installed on this specific example, so if you opted not to have that, I would anticipate a little bit of an improvement for sure, because those tend to generate noise.
Yeah. And now it's time for us to do our Car Confections Slam Dunk and Airball, which is our favorite element and our least favorite element about this QX60. Drew, why don't you go ahead and kick us off with the Slam Dunk?
Yeah, we're going to say the Slam Dunk is the fact that we're getting more standard features on lower trim levels. So basically, Infiniti's kind of migrated down several features, as you saw throughout this video, bringing those down to the lower trim levels, the more approachable trim levels. Even just the fact that they're offering this black edition on the Luxe trim, which is the second trim, this gives you a more affordable price point to get the nice design.
Yeah, and related to that is going to be our Airball. So for this black edition model, we are a little disappointed. It does black out a lot of the elements, but I think it could maybe black out a little bit more for the package price. One of the things I'd really love to see is a two-tone roof option. I think that really just makes the QX60 look a lot better, and they're only offering that on the top-end autograph. So I'd like to see expanded availability of that, especially here on the black edition. Lastly, here, when it comes to your warranty, you do have a really good one. 4-year, 60,000-mile basic warranty, 6-year, 70,000-mile powertrain. You do also get 3 years of complimentary maintenance, which is a feature they added not too long ago. Now let's talk pricing for the 25 QX60. We start just a hair over $50,000 for the 2025 model year. So that does mean that we have a little bit of a price increase that's between $1,000 and $3,000 depending on your trim level selection this year, and that is with front-wheel drive. Now if you want what we have sampled today, this is the Luxe model with all-wheel drive. The black edition is a $1,900 option package, and then we have a few other options. $1,350 destination, $64,100 is what we're sitting at today. If you want the autograph, it will probably start with the $70,000 price point. And if you're looking to buy a QX60 or any new vehicle, we would encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. Now, the reason you do that is because we have a tool on our website that will connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool for dealership negotiation. If you'd like to take advantage of that, a link is provided in our video description, and there's also a pinned comment at the top of this video. And now let's talk about potential resale value and reliability to make sure you are making a smart purchase. Now, first up, we'll talk about resale value. As an economics graduate myself, Drew and I took the time to develop what we think is a good estimate for this Infiniti QX60's potential resale value. We estimate that after 5 years, it'll be worth around 41.2% of its original MSRP, and after 10 years and 120,000 miles, 17.1%. Now, it's worth noting that is pretty much on par with other luxury brands like Mercedes, BMW, and Audi. It is going to be quite a bit less, though, than Lexus and Acura, for instance.
Now, we've also done the same for reliability by developing the Combined Reliability Index. This takes into account several studies from trustworthy sources and combines them in a way that paints a more holistic picture. In this regard, Infiniti is rated below the industry average compared to all vehicle makes.
Now, if you'd like to learn more about our reliability and resale value metrics, as well as our methodology, be sure to head to carconfections.com/reliability and carconfections.com/resale. Buying a car is a big decision, so you want to make sure you're making a smart purchase, especially if you're cross-shopping between different vehicle brands. And guys, that's going to be it for one of the first in-depth reviews of the 2025 Infiniti QX60 in its new Black Edition model this year. If you enjoyed watching this video or found it helpful in your purchasing decisions, which we hope you did, we'd really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. By subscribing, not only are you going to be a part of our Car Confections family, but you're also going to help us to get early access to vehicles like this, where we can be some of the first people to sample out the latest cars on the market. If you're already part of our family, thank you so much for your continued support, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.